mean everything to Christ, and Christ means everything to me.
I called on the Lord. I said, man, Father, this is real. Will you watch over me? Will you raise them up to be strong? I'm just a man with flesh. This is what you call for in your scriptures. You said they wore studs and fringes, they got it on. You said they will follow the Lord, they doing it. You said under your house side they ought to love one another, and they doing it.
Welcome to ISUBK Detroit. Check us out on all social media platforms. Classes are Monday through Saturday. Monday is the history class from 7 to 9 p.m. Tuesday is scripture breakdown. Wednesday is biblical law class. Friday, Lashawan Kodash, Hebrew language. Saturday, the Sabbath service. Check out our community service program. We have food and clothing drives, helping the people in need, and we also have felony expungement services available. Join us and get involved.
Ironic.
You know the truth is the truth, that's all I know. Cry loud and spare not, you gon' get exposed. A few real niggas left, you not one of those. Real soldiers, we was born to stand 10 toes. If he ain't one West, that nigga not one of mine. He got a purple 12, me, I got a black 9. The truth is the wife of my youth, chopper my concubine. Had to die to get my rib, that bitch forever mine. You know the game, a bishop gotta be blameless. But GMS teaching niggas to be rapists. They screaming we snitch. When Joel Morgan was killed by your brother, y'all ain't say shit. Real prophets only dwell in the UPK, PSA, we don't sign NDAs. Real prophets only dwell in the UPK, PSA, we don't sign NDAs.
Hey, 100 deep, 100 shields on, that's 100 priests. 100 boots, that's 200 feet. Tongue like a sword when I fucking speak. Teach you how to fish instead of fucking leech. Stop selling drugs instead of trying to fuck with Meech. Knowledgeable but I'm rude in my fucking speech. Life is about warfare, not no fucking peace. Hey bitch, I cry loud when I fucking speak. Make them wait a year before they fuck with me. Turn a street nigga to a fucking priest. Cross a priest and I promise you forever sleep.
One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West. So who is y'all, nigga? One West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West. That's who we are, nigga. One West. So who is y'all, niggas? One West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, niggas?
UPK soldiers got them killers with me. And I don't fuck with every spot cause it's too iffy. Real motherfucking prophet cause the Lord with me. But don't get that shit twisted, I got Drake's with me. Yeah, bitch, and that whole 50. Run up on me wrong, you gon' catch 60. Wait, you gon' catch 20. The other 30 for your homies, bitch, I got plenty. And I'll shoot this motherfucker till that clip empty. Taking orders from your bitch, you a fucking simpy. Shit, should be televised. The way I'm cutting niggas up, bitch, I'm a samurai. Niggas swear they in the truth, but telling hella lies. Stumping like you Greek, bitch, you Hellenized. The revolution gon' be televised. And what I see in my vision gon' leave you petrified.
One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West. So who is y'all, nigga? One West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, one West. That's who we are, nigga. One West, one West. So who is y'all, niggas? One West, one West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, niggas? UPK soldiers lead cowards in awe. So fuck a gas stop. I came with 6 pumps in my car. My niggas ready to swing. We like kids at the park. So touch a chair around this bitch and we breaking your jaw. They think we Christian, but we not. Nothing about us is soft. I don't know what you niggas on, but that shit get you off. We booted up. We came to take zones for real. Black 40 under my garment, I be dressed to kill. Fourth dimension sitting linger, I be fresh for real. Putting scripts on your corners, but these here ain't pills. We rock covers. You official if you know those drills. Bread and water, you official if you know those meals. Yeah, you niggas soldiers get rolled over. You got police in your pocket, I got a judge in my holster. Oppressors out to get us, so remain sober. Or be chained to them chains till there's nothing that remains of us. A cult leader like Christ, we got the same culture. I bang on them, tell my enemies the reign's over. I up the sig and keep pulling like a chain smoker. The game ain't changed, one West stayed the same on them. One West, one West, that's who we are, nigga. One West, one West. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, one West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, one West. That's who we are, nigga. One West, one West. So who is y'all, niggas? One West, one West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, niggas?
Niggas talking prophets, yeah, we got plenty. We the reason why it's Israelites around the city. Karkazak tells a rock, bring Shamara out. We about to slide on them, see what niggas talking about. Young dog think he wise cause he a Kim head. That shit lame, they didn't survive, nigga, Kim is dead. Where I'm from, little nigga, is a dirty game. I pledge allegiance to Yahweh, bitch, I'm UPK. Huh, nigga, let's talk bodies. Set up on your corner, wake up everybody. Big priest until I'm dead deceased. The mission is complete until you're off the street. Saw y'all on the internet stumping down the street. But take the poor and the weak. Touch your sister or a brother, you gonna be sleep. But take the poor and the weak.
One West, one West. That's who we are, nigga. One West, one West. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, one West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, one West. That's who we are, nigga. One West, one West. So who is y'all, niggas? One West, one West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, niggas?
Fucking with the brothers, then I'm giving out major pain. Clip full of ball heads, I'm shooting out Damon Wayne's. Driven ambition, I ain't never changing lanes. Wise as an old man, but I ain't slanging cane. This ain't a game, this shit way deeper than rap. You speaking the cap, but the shit y'all speaking is cap. I'm 5,000, but I still keep it a stack. I'm in the truth, not cause back then I was seeking the fact. Cry aloud for the niggas that's deep in the back. And the Lord with me, ain't no reason for keeping the strap. We peep the attacks, niggas say we ain't speaking the facts. Stealing breakdowns every time we teaching in class. Niggas snitching, y'all out here squeaking with rats. We be on the street corners teaching that Jesus is black.
We on 125th Street, Harlem, nigga. You see where we at?
One West, one West. That's who we are, nigga. One West, one West. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, one West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, one West. That's who we are, nigga. One West, one West. So who is y'all, niggas? One West, one West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga.
Test, test.
You want to do the intro?
Go ahead. Test, test, test.
You ready to rock and roll? We are the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. We started in 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, in 1969. Our leader is Commander General Yohana, and what our school primarily do is focus on the injustices, man, committed against our people by the oppressor, man. We go into the Bible and we properly break down why Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people are in the condition that you see all over the globe. All right. Today is our history class, and one of the things that we were going to bring out. What was the title again?
The title is "What Should Be Done to Those That Kill, Steal, and Destroy."
And what he mean by that? I know that title kind of sound Christian, then, and we intended it to be, because we want those out there that's Christian to understand that although those words are in the Bible, they were really directed towards a certain people. You know what I mean? Because the people that's being murdered, and stolen from and destroyed are not the average palm-colored person, man, that you see walking in America. The people that you see disenfranchised and destroyed in the ghettos, the barrios, man, on the reservation, strung out on drugs, you know what I mean, alcoholic, cross addicted, you know, sitting in the penitentiaries, man, are primarily Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people. So that kill, steal, and destroy refers to God's chosen people. And there is a ramification, right, if you will. There is a a reckoning, you know what I mean, that's going to transpire, you know what I mean, real soon, man. As soon as we get ourselves together, man, because of that killing and that stealing and that destroying of God's chosen people. Also, I'd like to bring out that we are currently in the Feast of First Fruits, and that right there lasts from April the 20th all the way to June the 8th, man, of this year, 2025. I'd be remiss in my duties if I didn't mention that this year, the Fire Weekend is going to be held in Chicago, and that's going to take place from July the 31st through August the 3rd. Another thing that I want to mention is the ISUPK, man, whether you know it or not, and I hope this get around to our people, man, that the way that we put a brother in the ground or a sister in the ground is you know, we follow after the customs of the same people that put us in chains. But the Israelite School of UPK, we have a burial department, man, where we would, if you solicit our organization, we would come wherever state you're in, we would come to that state, you know, priests would show up and we would perform the rites, the traditional burial rites that's strictly in the Bible to your deceased loved one. You know what I mean? Give you encouragement and biblical precepts that that kind of show what that transition is like and what the purpose of that transition is. So this past weekend, myself, Captain Kapash, under the authority of Commander General Yohana, got the order through General Haas to go down to where did we go? Was that Indiana?
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. And it was a brother who had been watching the Israelite School of UPK. And, you know, unfortunately, the brother passed, right? And one of his dying declarations was that the Israelite School of UPK perform his burial rites, man. You know what I mean? We got the call, real short notice.
Friday night,
Saturday morning. To be there Saturday morning. And we was Johnny on the spot because I thought that was a very honorable thing to participate in, man. Sending the brother out, man, with the oil, the scriptures, man, the real priest surrounding his casket, man, tucking him in instead of these monsters, man, just, you know, going through the monotony because they want to collect the paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So again, the Israelite School of UPK under Commander General Yohana, we have a full-fledged burial rites services for any Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian person, man, you know, in North, Central, and South America. You know what I mean? We got schools every damn where. So if your loved one, or if you're a person, man, that need those services for your loved one, man, contact the Israelite School of UPK under Commander General Yohana, man, and we'll set you up, man, with a traditional biblical last rites. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask something, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the way that we do this, the way the Lord intended for you to have this done.
That's right.
And you don't have to worry about somebody overtaxing you and taking all your money and leaving your family. Understand this, we fellowship with the family during and after.
That's right.
You know, we went and gave them comfort at their repast. We went to the burial site to them, gave them comfort, read scriptures there. Then met them on their own grounds to let them know that we're here for them. And what I recognize is that when people are in mourning, it's good for us to go out there because it's a great fishing tool, because they don't see the Christianity in the burial. They don't see the performance and the hoop and the holler. They see what the Lord has intended. And with them seeing that, a lot of folk there was ooh and ah, were like, wow, we didn't know that, you know, this is how this is supposed to be done. That's
right. And we got, if I could, we got a lot of compliments. Commander General Yohana got a lot of compliments for the men that he put together to go out there and perform those rites, man. Sisters and brothers. And I was surprised. At first, you know, this was my first one. I was a little nervous, you know, not sure how they would receive us. But I was taken aback because everybody, every single person up there seemed to be appreciative And it really shined when we went to the repast because they fed us. They even said, man, listen, they had a table. They had,
oh my God,
they had a table in there that was full of nothing but drink, right? And of course we were on our professionalism, so we didn't do what they encouraged us to do. They wanted us to just get drunk and go to the hotel. They was gonna pay for it, so we can party with them or celebrate with them. And of course, throughout the experience, we going in and out of the scripture. We dealing with brothers that didn't quite believe, who had an issue with the dietary law. Yeah. You know what I mean? And other things. And we kind of went into scripture, not on no debate or no battling. We were still in our comforting spirit. So anytime it got a little back and forth, we ceased and desist from engaging any further and gracefully bowed out of that discussion. But primarily, man, we Commander General Yohana, man, that was an excellent thing. What's this?
Yes. Sounds like this.
Slock it. Go ahead and pick it back up.
So and it was great for us to be able to take care of our people the way that our people, according to the Bible, according to the scriptures. Like LeBron was saying, it was my first time assisting. Come on. So okay. I'm gonna get Capricorn. It was my first time assisting with the burial services, and it was my first time, actually seeing something that felt right. I've been to the Christian funerals before. I've been to those Christian funerals before, and besides the hooping and hollering and singing and passing of the collection plate, it's just like a typical Sunday worship day, right? Except now, you got one person on your mind instead of having the entire, what is it? What do I want to say? Having the entire people of Israel, have the entire people of Israel there with you, and you're basically celebrating your people. Sorry, you got something you want to say, sir? Well, just to stick to what our title is going on with today, I got something, sir, that I want to bring out that I haven't. I was looking at what we were going to talk about today, and what ended up happening is that I found something that I had never found before. Out of one kind. Sorry, you want to take up for me, please?
Salakia. Right, so again, this is just we're going into some of the things that we do here in the ISUPK. Salakia. Yes, we're just going over some of the things that we do in the ISUPK. Right, I know the brother was bringing up the burial service that we held in the ISUPK. That's a beautiful thing. All right, to any Black, Hispanic, or Native American brother or sister, who's looking for a proper burial, one that is, something from our culture. You definitely want to get a hold of the brothers in the ISUPK. We got a beautiful, what do you call that? A funeral service, per se. And that's a beautiful thing. Another thing that LeBron was touching on was the Midwest Fire Weekend coming up. That's going to be in Chicago this year. All right. So give me 1 second. All right, please hold, Israel. Just 1 second. Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. Salaki, Israel. So we're back in it. We're going to get into the class. All right, yeah, we're going to get into the class. We're going to hold it down. I'm Priest and Officer 500 Shar-Yuan and the Commanding General Yohana. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. All right, again, tonight's topic is what should happen to those that kill, steal, and destroy. Okay, and one of the reasons for that topic is, it's a question that, let me get this right. It's a question that, a lot of people in America wrestle with. Like I've heard that topic for the longest time in America, over things like the death penalty. What should happen to somebody who takes a man's life? There's a lot of different countries around the world where if you unalive somebody, you do not get put to death. You might get a life sentence of 25 years, right? You might get multiple life sentences depending on the crime that you've committed. Right? And the reason we ask that question is because what should be the punishment for the European man for the crimes that he's done towards the children of God, towards Blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous people? There's been a lot of crimes that they've committed to us, and what have they paid for? Salaki, bear with me. I'm just getting some of my notes together. But there's a lot of crimes that Europeans have committed, and what punishment have they paid for, in their time here in America? You see America where they're flourishing as a country. I've heard so many people talk about how, America's falling and it's ending and this and that. And it's absolutely not the place it once was, but it is still, the richest country on earth. It is still a place where all different nations around the world go to do commerce, to do business, to buy and sell. That's why it says in the book of Revelations that the world would lament when this place goes up in flames. The world would be sad when they see America burn. Why? Because of all the business and the trade that goes on here in America. Everybody does business with America. Everybody does business with this place. And if America were to fall, all the nations of the earth would feel it because of all the business that is done. Now, I'm saying that to say America is an extremely rich country. America is a country where, they have all the luxuries of different housing and products and, manufacturing, clothes, whatever it may be. There's a lot of wealth within the country. And one of the main reasons for all that wealth is because of all the years of free labor that America was given off the backs of Blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous. And if you're Black, Hispanic, or indigenous in America, what have you gained from all that free labor? What have you gained from all the people that have been unalived, from all your ancestors that had to suffer here in America? We're still sitting here in 2025 asking for things like reparations. You see the Jewish man over in Israel. You see what Nazi Germany did to them. They receive billions of dollars every single year for the things that they've been through. All right, Salaki, just forgive me. I'm just getting up some notes. You understand? But they get all these different reparations every year. They get paid for all the suffering that they've been through, under the Germans and that Nazi government party. The Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous man, we've received nothing. The Indigenous man is given some small, unfertile land to live in a reservation. The Black man, the Hispanic man is living in every ghetto barrio across all of North and South Central America. We've been an impoverished person. We've received nothing. When you look in the history books, you look at, they would call it today, the business of purchasing and owning slaves is $1 billion industry. They had free labor from us for hundreds of years. And what did they do with that money? Well, picture a 20-year-old European man who grew up and his father had 30 slaves on his slave plantation. What do you think that man did? That man went and he bought out hundreds of acres of land. He went out and purchased businesses. He went out and invested his money, because what else is he going to do with his money? He has all these riches, all this wealth. These Europeans, they own hundreds of acres of land. And that's where you see today, you see motels built on that land. You see all this different construction and infrastructure being put on this land, and that just continues to bring in more wealth. All right, but we're gonna get into one of these articles. And we're gonna touch on some of these topics. Queen City. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to pull this article in my stream, pull this article up in my stream, and we can get started here. All right. We're gonna get this article up, and it's really, the title of this class today. It's really a simple question to answer. You were to ask somebody, what should somebody pay for, like General Yohannes said this one quote, beautiful quote. He was at camp and he was teaching people, and he asked a brother in the crowd, should a murderer go to jail? And everybody with some common sense would say, yeah, a murderer should go to jail. A murderer should be punished. Should a thief go to jail? Yeah, a thief should go to jail. A thief should be punished. And so what did General Yohannes say? So why shouldn't the white man pay for all the crimes that he's committed? They love to tell us, Europeans love to tell us here, that we just need to forgive and forget. Just forgive and forget all the crimes that's been done to us here in America. Forgive and forget all the atrocities that's been done to us. Forget about slavery. That's in the past. Forget about all the different hard bondage that our ancestors went through. That's in the past. They love to tell us things like that when they reap all the benefits of their ancestors. The children of slave owners own hundreds of acres of land, billion-dollar businesses, all this wealth, all this money that they have coming in. And they sit there and they continue to benefit from these things. When are they going to pay or repay the children of slaves for the crimes that their ancestors committed? We as Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous people, we've been suffering here in America for the things that our ancestors did. You know, one of the things, you know, that we talk about today is, you know, things like passing something on to our children. You know, you're a father, you're a mother here in America, you have children, you have kids, you have a family. You want to give an inheritance to them. You try to work hard, you try to make some money, you try to build up a business, you try to make investments. People go out and buy they buy insurance, life insurance and different things like that. Why? So they can pass something on to their children. They want their children and their children's children to do better than what they did. That's what a lot of us want. It's a normal thing. So it's not a hard concept to understand that, well, you're a child of a slave owner. Of course you have all this wealth. Of course you have this head start. Of course you have all these different liberties that have been granted to you. This country was built and made for you, literally. Europeans historically came over to America. Why? Because they wanted to start good, because they saw good business opportunities in owning slaves. That's what the Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous man was to the European. You were good business. It's good business for a European man to move to Jamaica and purchase slaves. It's good business for a European, you know, to move to Georgia, to move to Florida, to move to Alabama and purchase and own slaves. It's good business for them. So they came here and you built the country for them to live in wealth. You built a country for them to strive and succeed and give something to their children and their children and their children's children. That's the whole purpose of them coming over here. So why is it a crazy thought to say that your children's children should pay for the crimes of your ancestors? It's really not a crazy thought. So let me get this article open up. I'm having a tough time pulling it up on my computer. All right, while I get that, quick shout out to the chat. Shalom Nashah Gabar. Yavashim Shabrakatha, Thawar for tuning in. Princess Noah. Shalom, sis. Yavashim Shabrakatha. Salaki Yahweh Shamar Latha Bashim Shai. Thawar for tuning in. All right, everybody in the chat, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to get this article. There we go. All right, what's going on? Kiata one. Yabashim Shabrakatha, Bakayar Gabar, Yakalia, Sister Yakalia. All right, what's going on? Everybody, make sure you like, share, subscribe. All right, help push this truth out. All right, help get the algorithm up to share and push this truth, because our people absolutely need it. Like it says in the book of Isaiah, chapter 1 and verse 5, you know, the children of Israel, we are sick. We're a nation that is sick. We're a nation that needs to be healed. The ISUPK is the most valuable thing if you're Black, Hispanic, or Indigenous, so you can get that healing. We've been growing up in trauma our entire life, and so we need this school to help heal all the different trauma that we've been through. All right. Sorry for the delay. I got the article here. All right, let's read through this article. All right, let's read through this article. We'll take our time on it. And really take this knowledge in, okay? Really take this information in. This is an article from Arlington Black Heritage. Okay, it says this is the Black Heritage Museum of Arlington. And the title of this article is Queen City, Arlington's Lost Neighborhood. Okay. This is Queen City, Arlington's lost neighborhood. We're gonna take our time and read through this. It says Queen City was once a thriving African American neighborhood in Arlington, complete with its own fire department. Okay, now this is a city, this is a city and a community where, if you look historically, when you had slaves just coming out of slavery in America, where you have the emancipation of slavery, that 13th Amendment Act, where there's now saying that, you can't just own somebody and force them to do free labor, unless, of course, they're incarcerated. When you have this act passed and you start seeing Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous coming out of quote-unquote hard bondage, one of the first things that we did as a people was we said as a people, let's build our own communities. Let's build our own churches. Let's build our own businesses. It was like we had this green light to get away from our oppressor. We had a green light to have our own communities and not have to suffer all the strenuous free labor, not have to go through all the punishment and the torture under our slave owners. And so we understood as a people, let's get our own. Let's get our own communities and build up our own communities. And that's exactly what we did as a people. Not only did we build our own communities, but our communities flourished, right? And so this is Queen City, and it says it was once a thriving African-American neighborhood in Arlington, complete with its own fire department. What does the Bible say in Deuteronomy 6 and 7? It says that we are a holy people above all people on the face of the earth. So it's not a hard thing to understand that we would thrive as a people. There is no smarter, more gifted person than the Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous man. Nobody can touch us in anything that we do. So having a flourishing community is something that's easy to understand when you truly understand who you are. When you shake off all those negative stereotypes that the media loves to portray you as. Like I was watching, I had one of my sons watching that documentary Roots. And you see in the beginning of that documentary where they try to portray the black and the black man and woman as these uncivilized people over in Africa. They try to portray us, like we're walking through a forest naked, just catching turkeys in the middle of a bush. You know what I mean? They try to portray us in this way, like, we're this disgusting race of people. They try to portray us in that way back in the 1500s and the 1600s, and they portray us like that today in 2025. They put Cardi B on a stage and they encourage her, to dress like a whore, to be a whore. They put all our black men in movies as if we're just thugs and gangsters and drug dealers and thieves. They portray us in a certain light. When, if you really get to know us, that's not who we are. That's not our culture. You want to talk about the greatest drug dealer? There is no greater drug dealer than the European man, bringing in millions of pounds of cocaine overseas so that he can do drugs, so that he can overdose on fentanyl and all the different drugs that he loves to take. That's the European man. That's his culture. That's not the culture of the black man. So seeing that we have this, thriving, quote unquote, African American community, it's not a hard thing to understand when you really understand who you are. I recommend a book for, brothers and sisters to get. It's called, I think it's called The 100 Inventions of the Negro You Haven't Heard About. It's a beautiful book. It just speaks on all the different things we've created as a people. All the things we've created that people don't know about. So here we are coming out of slavery, and we build up Queen City. We build up the Rosewoods. We build up cities in Oklahoma and Alabama and all over the South. Build up cities in Detroit. Rosewood, all these different great cities that we build, and we thrive as a people. You left us, the European man left us alone for 40 years, and we build up these beautiful cities. Okay? It says, the original residents of Queen City were descendants of the residents of Freedman's Village, which had been established by the federal government during the Civil War as a home for displaced/freed slaves. Right? Why was there a place for displaced and freed slaves? Because we wanted segregation. We didn't want to integrate. We wanted our own. The European man, if he wasn't so greedy and wanted our money so bad, he would have gladly had their own, they would have gladly had their own communities too. Part of that whole Civil War and Civil Rights movement, or Civil War, in America, was because Europeans understood that we need free labor from these black people. We need their dollar. We need their labor. We can't succeed as a country without them picking cotton, without them building up our businesses and our industries. So you have this civil war in America where people are saying, no, we need them as slaves. And you fast forward couple decades, you see things like the Cadillac, where we need the black man's money. That's the only way that our businesses are going to thrive during this recession. Europeans have always needed us in America to survive. We've never needed them. And so you have this place or this city in Queen City where it's a place for displaced and freed slaves, right? Why? Because we wanted segregation. So it says, a tightly knit African-American community. Queen City was particularly forced, or Salaki, it says, a tightly knit African-American community. Queen City was particularly focused on providing education for its children and was described by George Volin, a former resident, as a real happy, solid community. You look at all the testimonies of the black man inside their communities, the black woman inside their communities, they always say things like, this place was our home. This place was our community. This place was a little place of heaven. Like they said that over in there's this community in Africville in Canada. Before the European man destroyed it, they said this was our home. This was our safe place. This was our heaven. Every community that you've seen the black man build up in America, it was always seen as a safe place and a beautiful place for our people. That stereotype of, again, the European trying to push on us and our communities is that there's something wrong with our community, so we need to destroy it and gentrify it and make it better. That's always been the narrative that they try to spin on our communities. But that's not the case. You see, the testimony of this says this former resident, George Volin, he says it was a real happy, solid community. Because Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous, we're happy when we're segregated. We're at peace when we're segregated. We know our children are safe when we're segregated. We didn't just build up different schools and elementary schools for our kids to go to because we weren't capable and couldn't do anything better. We built up these schools because we needed a place, a safe place for our kids to go. We built up these schools, and these elementary schools thrived. Our children went to these schools and they were loved. Their teachers at the schools, they could see themselves in the teacher. And they were loved because that's our people. That's what the scriptures say. Every beast loveth his like. The dolphins all stick together. The lions stick together. The doves stick together. You see that everywhere on this earth. Because every beast loveth his like. Europeans stick together. The Chinese man comes over from Asia and they stick together and build up Chinatown. The Arabs come over and they stick together and they build up their communities. That's normal in this world. It's a normal thing for your own to stick together. That's why that ideology that Martin Luther King tried to push on us and successfully pushed on so many of our people, that we need to integrate with the people that have been murdering us. That's a crazy ideology. They're sitting there burning the school bus where our children are on, and you want to integrate with them. That's insanity. It doesn't make any sense. Segregation is the greatest thing that we can do as a people. And that comes right from the Lord. The Most High says that, be ye holy. Being holy means to be separate, to be different from everybody else, to stick together and love your own. It's a very natural thing to love your family and take care of your family. That's something that we've lost as a people. And it's because of that ideology that Martin Luther King tried to push on us. But again, you see this former resident saying it was a real happy and solid community. And that was the thought for all of our communities. It says, the neighborhood eventually disappeared when residents were displaced in 1941 as construction on the Pentagon and surrounding roads began. And again, all of our communities, every Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous community is always consistently being gentrified. The European man, and you can look through the history, he has never left us alone. He's never left us alone to build up our own community and thrive as a people. All of our communities are always destroyed. This community was no different. It said Queen City was not raised for the Pentagon building, but the overall Pentagon project. So what the general census is that Queen City had to go so that we could build the Pentagon. Africville in Canada had to go so that they could build a park and a railroad. that I forget that city in New York had to go so they could build Queens Park. That's the consistency. That's why it's not hard to understand who the devil the Bible speaks of is. It's not hard to look at somebody's history and their past and be like, well, they did this. They flooded our community with drugs. They've sexually abused and assaulted our men and our women, buck broke our men. They put firecrackers, in a black man's ass and lit it on fire as if it was a joke. We had laughing barrels in America because you're not allowed as a black man to laugh while you're walking down the street. You're going to make Europeans feel uneasy. There's so many different historical events that have happened to where you should be able to look at these people and say, okay, I understand the crimes that you've committed. They want to say gentrifying a neighborhood is just a normal and beautiful thing. Well, it just so happens that you've destroyed every black community in America. We're not allowed to live good here in America. We're not allowed to flourish and build ourselves up in America. You constantly have to destroy the things we have. Brothers and sisters in Detroit, where all the automotive industry is taken from you. And it destroys your community. So it says, Queen City was not raised for the Pentagon building, but the overall Pentagon project. In order to accommodate the large number of individuals who would be commuting to and parking at the Pentagon on a daily basis. So I can give me 1 second. Right, so I was saying, they destroy this. What did I say? I'll read that again. It says, what was that? It says Queen City was not raised for the Pentagon building, but the overall Pentagon project, in order to accommodate the large number of individuals who would be commuting to and parking at the Pentagon on a daily basis. So they didn't just destroy Queen City to build a Pentagon, but the European man needed some parking space. The European man, and you look at the Pentagon, right? You look at the whole layout of the Pentagon. All the exotic fields and they're different. I think they have some Egyptian obelisks and statues and all the parking that they need. They had to destroy your community so that they could build this project. Right? Queen City was not raised for the Pentagon building, but the overall Pentagon project, in order to accommodate the large number of individuals who would be commuting to and parking at the Pentagon on a daily basis. Extensive accommodations had to be made for the automobile. And it's, again, this, it's this unfortunate and sick thought that, like the European man's words, it says in the book of Psalms, his words were smoother than butter. Like, you bring up this article to people and you read it today, they're going to all sit there and say, well, of course they had to destroy Queen City. The Pentagon is such an important building. And of course they need parking. And of course they need a park. Of course they need these different things to run this government building. Pentagon's one of the most important things on earth to the American man. where we run, all of our different logistics for our government and military and this and that. You would think that the Pentagon is the most important thing on earth. But at what cost did it come with? You had a man and his wife and his family, and you had a piece of property that you were ready to give to your children. You had land. You had something that you owned, something that belonged to you that you were going to give as an inheritance to your children. So when your child turns 18, 19 years old, they now have a house. They inherit land. They inherit something. And then maybe that generation will do a little bit better. Everybody can understand and relate to giving an inheritance to a child. And that's the compassion that the ISUPK is trying to teach back to our people. And it's something you can't teach to the European man. He has no compassion on the Black, Hispanic, or Indigenous man. He doesn't care about your land, your inheritance. He doesn't care about anything you own or invest in. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your community. He doesn't care about your school buildings or your businesses or anything that you have. He has a Pentagon that he has to build. Doesn't matter how many families have to be displaced in order for this man to build up his kingdom. Doesn't matter how many children have to go without an inheritance and be stuck in the same damn ghetto that they've always been in. Again, when they destroy these communities that our people live in, they're not just given property and land. They're sent to some, government housing. They'll say, here, don't worry, we'll take care of you. Here's some government housing where you guys can stay. We'll make sure that you guys have a place to live. If they give you that. And they displace us and they destroy our community. Like this brother said, it was a real happy, solid community. You're destroying our community. How many times do you see, today where they have all these youth workers and programs and, coming out of colleges and things where they say, let's build up these different community youth centers so that our children can do better. The community, let's, get this community church up. Let's get this community center up and a place where our children can go and, have a fitness center and, play sports and be together and be safe, where we can watch each other as a community. We understand the value of it. We understand how destructive it is to our youth without having a community. And these are the things that they destroy and take away. It says, the neighborhood eventually disappeared when residents were displaced in 1941 as construction on the Pentagon and surrounding roads began. Okay, so this neighborhood it says it eventually disappeared when residents were displaced in 1941. It says Queen City was not razed for the Pentagon building, but the overall Pentagon project, in order to accommodate the large number of individuals who would be commuting to and parking at the Pentagon on a daily basis. Extensive accommodations had to be made for the automobile. That's such a sad thing because right? It says it right there that that automobile was more important than your community, black man. A car, a place for somebody to park was more important than your community. That's, again, the history of what these devils do, right? The title says, what should happen to those that kill, steal, and destroy? What should happen to the man that destroyed your community? Should there be a punishment for it? It says the Cloverleaf Highway structure, which the Columbia Pike feeds into and is found to the west of the Pentagon, remains the exact location of Queen City. Therefore, Queen City was destroyed for Pentagon's needed transportation corridor, which eventually would come to include over 30 miles of highways and ramps, including 21 overpasses. So your community has to be destroyed so that Europeans can have roads. That's it. That's the story of all of our communities that were destroyed. You're going to see the black community destroyed, and you're going to see a park being built. You're going to see a railroad be built. You're going to see highways and roads be built, parking lots be built. And again, it's not like in America there's some lack of land. You could go to Land Bank right now and look up some 100 acres that you can purchase somewhere in America. But for their convenience and for their kingdom, they're going to build their Pentagon inside of your community, because that's more important. All right, we're going to drop that. And let's get into the next article. All right, we can get into the next article. And while I'm pulling up that, I'm going to pull up a verse. I'm going to pull up some verses that we'll read through. Let's jump to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. Okay. We've probably read through this scripture 100 times, but it is something that's such a foundation to who we are as a people, such a foundation to our life, the Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous man's life. And it's something that we really have to understand. We were never taught as Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous people that our life is a test. Every day on earth is a test. And everything that we're going through is because the Most High has a hand in everything that we do. Right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. It says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth." Now, you really got to think, if you're Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous, is are we as a nation above all nations of the earth? It says in the Bible that, we're supposed to be the head and not the tail. We're supposed to be above. We're supposed to be leading. It was prophesied when Esau grabbed onto the heel of Jacob, he was telling his mother that the elders shall serve the younger. Who came out first? Esau, the European nation today. Who was the younger brother? That was Jacob, who became the progenitor of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. The people who you call today Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous. And so if we were meant to be ruling and we were meant to be above and be on top, like it said, set thee on high above all nations of the earth, then why are we below every nation on earth? Why are we at the bottom of society everywhere we go? You're a Black man and you go buy some land in Ghana in Africa, you're going to be below the Hamites. You go and move your Black ass over to Israel today, you're going to be at the bottom of society over in Israel. You go to the UK, to Canada, anywhere on earth, you're going to be on the bottom of society. It says that he would scatter us among all nations of the earth, that we would be in every nation in the four corners of the earth as a punishment for not keeping the commandments. It's something that we haven't learned as a people, that we're in this condition because we disobey. We're in this condition because we don't pick up this book and pick up our culture and do what it is that the Lord actually tells us to do. We really don't understand how important and how valuable it is to keep our culture. We wake up and just say, oh, it's just another day. Just gonna live my life. I got one life to live. It's just one day. I'm gonna just smoke a little weed. I'm not, having the best day today. Just want to chill out, smoke some weed. I'm just gonna be a drug addict. It's not a big deal. The Lord's not gonna punish me for those things. But yet every day of that man's life, of that brother's life, he has nothing but chaos. Gonna sit there and cry about, being on child support, and this is what my baby mama's doing to me, and this and that, when the Lord said, not to marry a whore, not to turn the daughters of Zion into a whore, not to get trapped by a fast woman. These are laws in the Bible. These are things that the Most High commanded us to do. We have to really take accountability of our lives and say, to really look and self-evaluate the things that are going on in our day-to-day life and say, maybe I'm going through something because I'm not doing what it is I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I have bad health because I refuse to stop eating this pork. I refuse to stop eating this lobster. It says in verse 15, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And that's exactly what happened to the Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous man. There's a laundry list of curses that we can read through in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 that fully explain the Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous man's life. Fully explains everything that we go through as a people. Let's jump down to We'll read some of these curses. Let's jump down to 54. Verse 54 says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother. You know, this is a very emotional brother. A very emotional man who's just going to go out and unalive his brother over something that happens. You're going to take a man's life because this man slept with your woman. You're going to take this man's life because, you know, he stole some money from you or whatever it may be. We're going to take things into our own hand and get hyped up and excited because we don't know how to control our emotions. We're very tender. We're very soft as a people. You grew up in a household where your mother raised you. And the only thing you know how to act like as a man is to be feminine, like that woman that raised you. That's a punishment of the Most High. That's a punishment for disobedience against the Most High. It says his eye shall be evil towards his brother. That is black on black crime in the Bible. That is Hispanic on Hispanic man crime in the Bible. These are things that plague us as a community. It says, and towards the wife of his bosom. This is why so many brothers, they have a problem with their wife. They don't know how to deal with the sister that they lay down with. They don't know how to treat the woman that they lay down with. And it's vice versa with women towards their man. These women today, they don't know how to treat their husbands. Constantly seen. So I think that's the number one search thing on Google amongst the Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous community. Black relationships, marriage counsel, relationship advice. That's the number one thing that we search on the internet as a people. Tell me that's not a curse from God. Tell me that's not a curse for disobeying the Most High. That is something that plagues our community. It says, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Isn't every Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous woman crying about the Black man, the man that leaves the household? When's this man going to show up and pick up his kids? Woe is me, this man left me, this and that. These are curses from the Most High. This is a curse for being disobedient to God. There's a way that a Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous woman is supposed to act and carry herself. It's written in the Bible that our sisters should be hardworking, that they shouldn't just be lazy and at home doing nothing. They should keep themselves busy. That's a treasure. That's a jewel far above rubies. An honorable sister who goes out and works, and makes sure that her family has everything they need. Food and clothing. That's what a nurturing woman does. It's normal for our sisters. You see our sisters today, this is why they have 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees. There is nobody more intelligent than the Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous woman. She'll go to college and university, grab 3, 4 degrees like it's nothing. She has the ability to nurture and care for her family. And these things should be encouraged. Instead, the European man wants to promote somebody like Erykah Badu, who says, yeah, you should go out and make money for sucking some European man's. You understand? Go out and be a whore and whore yourself out so that you can get this music contract. When that's not our culture. That's sin according to God. Sin is a transgression of the law. You go against the things that the Most High told us to do. These are the things that keep us destroyed as a people. Verse 55 says, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he has nothing left in him in the siege and in the straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. Our families are destroyed. Our men are out here destroying their own family. It says in Ephesians that, no man, I'm paraphrasing, no man who loveth himself, would destroy his own body. And that's how we are to look at our wives, that she is a part of you. She's a part of your household, your family. Why would you treat her bad? Why would you do her dirty? You're trying to build up your house, your family, your children. So you got to treat that sister good. Treat her the way you would want to be treated. That's that compassion that we lack as a people. But instead, it's when it says flesh of his children whom he shall eat, meaning we destroy our children. Your child is an extension of you. That's your seed. That's your family. That's your lineage. That's how your name lives on. Why would we do evil towards our children by throwing a black woman out the house? Why would we do evil to our children by abandoning our sisters? Because she talked to us a certain way. You should forgive that sister as you would want forgiveness from her when you go and do some fuckery. It says, because he hath nothing left in him in the siege and in the straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. And that's how your enemies destroy you. You have children and you have kids and you have a nation that you build up so that you can defend yourselves and protect your community. You have male children who you're going to grow up and go to war for you. Go to war against your enemies. That's what every nation on earth does. Every nation on earth has a military. Where is the Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous man's military? Where is our army? That's why it says in Jeremiah, our gates thereof languish. We don't have any protection. We don't have proper leadership in our community. We have LGBTQ pastors like TD Jakes and Creflo Dollar lead us down these rabbit holes of things or ways of thinking and ways of interacting with our spouse and our spouses and our family that destroy us. "56 says, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness." This is how the daughters of Zion are meant to be. They're meant to be tender and delicate, not the man. The daughters of Zion are supposed to be delicate and tender. They're supposed to be feminine. In 2025, you see all of our sisters with this masculine spirit. These are curses from the Most High. These are curses for disobedience. It says, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom. The woman today, statistically, is the main reason and cause for divorce in our communities. Statistically, the woman is out there filing for divorce, breaking up the families. Her eye shall be evil towards her husband. This isn't just a shot at women. The black man and the black woman, we need to heal as a people. Both of us are fucked up. None of us got it right. That's why our families are destroyed. And that's the value and the importance that I'm speaking about that we don't understand as a people. It's not a joke. It's not a game raising a family. It's not a game raising a nation of people. It's not a game to govern and run an entire nation and a country. This is why we don't have our own. How are we going to be given a land flowing of milk and honey when we're just going to turn it into another ghetto? We want the Lord to bless us with all this money and all these riches to have our own land when we don't have our shit together as a people. Why would the Lord give us something that we don't know how to handle, that we would just destroy? Why would Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus Christ, come back to rule a people that do nothing but sin, that don't know how to act? Yahushua is looking for a righteous people that he can come and rule over. But we're sitting here and we don't know how to deal with one another as a people, adding sin to sin. It doesn't make sense for Yahushua to come back. Verse 57 says, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet. So these women, these sisters are having children. And what are these sisters doing? They're aborting their children. These sisters are aborting their babies. Your own flesh and blood, your own child. We've grown so cruel as a people where we don't have a problem unaliving a baby that's in our womb. Shit, they got stuff called late-term abortions. This child's fully grown, and we're ending babies' lives. You got brothers pressuring women to abort their babies. You got women saying, well, I don't got any money, so I'm going to unalive my child. We've grown so selfish and cruel as a people. And there's punishments for it. These punishments for it, and it makes so much sense. Again, to the title, what should happen to those that kill, steal, and destroy? What should happen to the man that's a drug addict? What should happen to the sister that aborts her child? What should happen to the children that, are unruly and don't obey their parents in lawful things and things that are good for them, like telling your child not to do drugs, and they go out and do drugs? What should be the reward or the punishment for that? That's why all these curses follow us. It says, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear. For she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness, wherein thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. Verse 58 says, if thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God. And that's what happens when you're punished as a people. You picture being a child when your father punishes you. You look at your father differently. You look at your father and you say, no, I got to fear for that man. I'm going to listen to what that man says because I don't want to be punished. And that's no different than what the Most High is saying here. He's saying, if you don't listen to everything that I tell you to do, then you're going to learn to fear. You're going to learn to fear me. You're going to learn my name. You're going to wake up and be like, oh shit, I was sold into captivity. I was sold to my enemies for bondmen and for bondwomen for disobeying what my father told me to do. I'm in the ghettos, barrios, and reservations because I refuse to put down weed. Because I refuse to stop abandoning my women, my wives. Because as a sister, I refuse to, treat my husband with dignity and respect, according to the laws, statutes, and commandments. I refuse to stop celebrating birthdays and Halloween. The Lord says that you're going to learn to fear my glorious and fearful name. Because this isn't a game. This isn't a joke. There's so many of us that are out there that are not worthy to be parents. You're a brother sticking your rod in a woman who is not worthy of being a mother. You sisters are laying down with a man who is not worthy of being a father. And you're bringing children into this earth and we're consistently destroying them. We're continuing the generational curses. We're continuing just to destroy our nation because we don't fear the Lord. But the Most High says, you're going to learn to fear my name. You're going to hear what the brothers in the ISUPK have been saying and say, oh shit, I was sold to my enemies because I didn't keep the law. I was sold as bondmen and bondwomen because I didn't keep the law. Right? We jump down to 68. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Right? This was a curse that the Most High said would happen to us for disobeying him. He said, thou shalt see it no more again. You're going to go into Egypt again. You read through Exodus, Egypt was a place of bondage. It was a place where the children of Israel served hard bondage and built up different treasure cities in Egypt. Just like we built up New York, we built up Atlanta, built up California, built up these different cities in America under bondage. That's what Egypt is. It's a place of bondage. And the Lord said that you would go into bondage again, and thou shalt see it no more, meaning thou shalt see it no more again, meaning you were not going to see your homeland again. Ask a black man in America today, where was his ancestors before slavery? What were your people doing before slavery? The average black man was taught that our ancestors were swinging off trees like monkeys, half naked in a forest somewhere, doing God knows what. And then in 2025, to have all the information that we have today, you can start looking up and being like, oh shit, they had, different infrastructure, in Western Africa. They had different universities and colleges and banks that were built up and plumbing systems and these different things in Western Africa. And it's like, wait a minute, how were our people really living? What were our people doing before slavery? What language did you speak before slavery? What God did you serve before slavery? Were you a Christian? Were you Muslim? Who did your ancestors pray to? The Lord said, thou shalt see it no more again. The average Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous man has no idea where they come from. That's why we call ourselves African American. That's why we call ourselves Black and Hispanic. Why we call ourselves Indigenous. We don't know where we come from as a people. It says, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. That is a serious curse to fall upon a nation of people. They're going to be sold to your enemies, sold to a people that hate you, not sold to a people that love you, sold to a people that care about you, sold to a people who don't have a problem destroying Queen City and building up the Pentagon and all the different highways surrounding it. Sold to a people who don't have a problem burning down Rosewood, burning down Black Wall Street, burning down Tulsa, Oklahoma. You're going to be sold to your enemies, a people that hate you. And not just sold to them, but sold to your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. You're going to serve these people. You're going to be put up on an auction block and you're going to be destroyed. You're going to have to sit there as a Black mother and see your child sold to another family across the other side of the country. They said it was illegal, I think in I can't remember what year that was, 18 something. They said it was illegal to sell a child under the age of 11 to a different slave owner. And do you think the Europeans kept that law? They made their own law that you could not sell a child under the age of 11. And they did it anyway. These are a people that hate you. These are your enemies. That is a serious curse from God. That's a person that you should fear. That's a name that you should be afraid of. That's a father that you should respect. It says that everything that I say will come to pass, right? Or he says, I am not a God that should lie. I lie not. The Most High says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. If he says he's going to bless you, he's going to bless you. If he says he's going to curse you, he's going to curse you. So choose life or death. Choose to live in the ghettos, barrios, and reservations in chaos, or live a life, or live a beautiful life. You don't have to be dying of cancer and AIDS and gout and high blood pressure. You don't have to be afraid of your children walking down the street. You don't have to be afraid of where your food or your next meal is coming. But to actually live. That was I remember watching that movie 12 Years a Slave. And that brother who was quote unquote a free man gets sold into slavery, stolen and sold into slavery, and he's sitting there saying, I don't care what happens to me, but I want to live. I'm not just going to accept being a slave and being oppressed. I'd rather die. And we as a people, we shouldn't just roll over and just accept this hell that we live in. Brothers and sisters got to really evaluate their lives and say, do I want something better? Or do I want to continue in the fuckery that's going on in my life? You're a sister with 6 different baby daddies, nobody to raise your kids, and you're just going to sit there and be prideful? You got AIDS, STDs, can't keep a job, living in hell. We're going to sit there and accept that as a people? Or are we going to change what it is we're doing? It says in Psalms that a broken and a contrite spirit are the sacrifices of the Most High. Meaning when you get tired of banging your head against that brick wall because you've been doing the same nonsense your whole life, maybe you'll humble yourself before the Most High. Maybe you'll humble yourself before the Most High and say, I want something better. I want something different. That's what these classes in the ISUPK are really for. History class, brotherhood class, law class, Lashwan Kwadash, the Hebrew, teaching your language, scripture breakdown, Sabbath service. We hold classes in the ISUPK to heal our people. Because we don't understand how to live. Let's see if I got that other article. No, we'll leave that. We'll drop that. Let's get to we'll go in one more verse and then we'll end up the class. Let's jump to Isaiah. We'll go to Isaiah chapter 1. Or matter of fact, we'll go to Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 22. Because Queen City, was a tragic thing for our people. Not just Queen City, but every community that we've lost. All the communities that have been destroyed in Detroit, every place that we've called home as a people, that we've seen lost and taken from us. These are sad things, but these are the things, again, where we have to ask ourselves, how long are we going to bang our heads against this brick wall? This is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 22. And it says, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? All right. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? How long will you love eating this pork? How long will you love celebrating your birthday? How long will you love treating your wife the way you do, your husband the way you do, your children the way you do? All these destructive behaviors that lead to death, how long will you love simplicity? Every way that you act here in America is following the ways of your oppressor, following the culture of the Europeans, following the culture of Babylon. Like this place in America is a very disgusting place. This place in America allows you to smoke weed and be a drug addict. America allows you to abort your baby. America allows you to be LGBTQ and catch monkeypox and AIDS and HIV. America will promote this thing for you as if it's a good way of life. Meanwhile, it's destroying you. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? The European man said it's okay for a pregnant woman to smoke cigarettes. Then how many years later do we see all of our people dying of cancer? How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? The Lord told you not to inhale smoke 5,000 years ago. How many deaths are there every year from smoke inhalation? But you think that, well, I can smoke weed because it's from the earth? You're simple. You're simple and you're sick in the head. You're following a dummy who's telling you that this way of life is okay. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning. And you're going to sit there and be prideful and say, oh, I love my baby back pork ribs. And you got every fucking disease known to man. High blood pressure, all this stress and whatever is destroying you and killing you. Your muscles are tightening up. You're getting gout and this. You're in the doctor every 2 fucking days. Because you can't stop eating the shit that's destroying you. And you'll sit there, be proud as hell and say, I love my baby back ribs. The Lord is telling you not to do these things. It says, and fools hate knowledge. Not only do you sit there as a scorner, but you despise the knowledge of the Most High. The Lord said that the wisdom of this world is foolishness to God. The Most High created this earth and everything in it. And you think you know better than the Most High? You're stupid as hell. You're a fool. And fools hate knowledge. That's why you're gonna stay in the hell that you live in. Verse 23 says, turn you at my reproof. You should turn at correction. If you were smart, if you were wise, you would say, I'm tired of getting my ass whooped. I'm tired of getting my ass beat every single day. Maybe I should do what the Most High is telling me to do. He says, behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. In the ISUPK since 1969, you've been teaching the truth of the Bible. You ask a brother in the ISUPK something about the Bible, they're going to read a verse. They're going to tell you something that comes right from the Lord. They're going to tell you, stop celebrating your birthday. That's what satanic people do. They're going to tell you, stop celebrating Easter because Christ was truly celebrating Passover. We're going to tell you to keep the feast days, the Day of Atonement, Feast of First Fruits. We're going to tell you how long a woman's unclean after she gives birth, how long a woman's unclean when she's on her menstrual, how long a brother or sister's unclean when, you know, they go to when they're around a dead body. I'm going to tell you what food to eat, what food not to eat. I'm going to tell you how to live your life. I'm going to tell you everything according to the Bible. What days you can have sex, who you can have sex with. We're going to tell you all these things that come right from the Bible. That's reproof, that's correction that you should hold on to as a Black, Hispanic, or Indigenous brother. It should be like a treasure unto you. Christ said, don't cast your pearls under swine. What is your pearls? Pearls is a valuable thing. That valuable thing is the knowledge of this Bible. The knowledge that the Most High gave to the children of Israel, gave to Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous. Every prophet in the Bible is Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous. They are an Israelite. To them pertains the oracles of God. That's the advantage that the Jew has. Being prophets of God. Being a nation of people that the Lord deals with. Psalms 149 and 18 and 19 says, I show my word unto Jacob, my laws, statutes, and commandments unto Israel. I have not dealt so with any other nation. The Lord gave his wisdom to Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous so that we wouldn't have to live in hell. He gave us a beautiful culture, a beautiful way of life. A life that, leads to actual life and not death. You don't have to die of cancer. You're not going to see our sisters in strip clubs being whored out. Worried about what's happening to our young women. Brothers being raised up to be, good leaders in their households. Good and strong and proper soldiers and strong men who can actually defend and take care of their nation. Defend and take care of their people. That's what we need to really come back to and hold on to as a people. He says, I will make known my words unto you. That's possessive. These laws, statutes, and commandments, the wisdom of this Bible, I'm going to make it known unto you so that you can prosper and flourish. Because you were meant to rule this world. You weren't meant to be servants under other nations of people. All right. So with that, I'm going to say Thawada for tuning in. This is another Monday Night History class. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to our channel. All right. Salakia for the delays. We had some technical difficulties, but we still got some good information out. All right. So again, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and Thawada for tuning in. With that, I'm going to say Shalom, Israel.